everyone, I'm Alex. Welcome to part 2 of the Autodesk Inventor home screen user interface tutorial module, where we'll be taking a look at the Get Started tab and its associated ribbon features. I broke the series down into easily digestible segments to deliver the most relevant content for your convenience. If this video doesn't contain what you're looking for, go ahead and check out the other parts to this module. If you want to stay up to date on future tutorials like this one, or fun engineering projects and other cool stuff, make sure you subscribe and turn on channel notifications. Moving over, we have the Get Started tab. So this is the first tab we're going to address. This gives us some basic options. Some of these will be repeat options, and you'll notice a trend here that this software allows you multiple opportunities and spaces to access certain environments. So again, you see the new window here. We saw that up here, but this just gives you another place to access some of these utilities. And this will change depending on whether you're in a part environment, an assembly environment, and so on and so forth. When you open up the dropdown, you see either new or import CAD files. So for example, say you have a customer that uses, let's say CATIA V5. So they could step out a file in a .stp format, and you can import that step file into the Autodesk geometry using this function. This is very useful. It's huge for compatibility and just collaborative efforts in general. That's basically what this will do. So moving over to open, again, same open screen as up here. So, we could verify that those are the same. Projects. Now, going back to the introduction to projects, basically what projects are is it's a quick access method of assigning all of your parts, assemblies, anything that's related to a particular project, and keeping it all in one place for quick access at later time. So for example, when filming, I had to make a tablet clip to clip my tablet to my camera tripod. So what I did was I created a project called tablet clip. If I come over here and double click on tablet clip, and then look at the workspace, it's going to launch a dialog box with everything related to that design effort in one place. So this is really useful when you have multiple projects that you're working on, but you don't want to keep going through your Windows Explorer window to access them. So this is a very useful way to access that. And I highly encourage everyone when they're starting their projects to be as organized as possible and keep everything in a unique project location so that navigating to and from those projects is as easy and as simple as possible. We'll open the projects window again, and we have some different options in here. I'm not going to go too in depth into these. Basically, what these are showing you is what appearance libraries you have access to. In other words, it shows you all of your resources that are available within each individual project that you have selected here. We have some options here. We have our help menu, our new function, browse, save and apply. Those you could use when you're actually making edits, and then you're done tab here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to create a new project that I was designing some sort of, let's say, smartphone stand. So you're working at your desk and you want to create a new stand to prop up your smartphone while you're listening to music or watching a podcast or something while you work. So we can actually click new here, and it's going to give us some options here. In this case, it's a new single user project, as it's just me working on this myself. So I'm going to hit next, and you can type in a project name. So let's say smartphone stand. Okay, so that's the project name. And then I could actually go to here and change where I want that project to live. This is very important. So if you're working in a company network that's, say you have a local server or something that you're working off of, you want to make sure that you're navigating this workspace to the right place. So in this case, we would go through and pick wherever we want to go. I'm not going to change that. Then we could go to the next space down here, which basically says this is the project file to be created. So it's going to show you the whole file extension, what it's going to look like. And then we're going to see that project extension, that IPJ at the end. So we're going to hit next. And in this case, it gives us our Inventor electrical library. We're not going to do anything with this, and we're just going to click finish. So here it's saying the project path you entered doesn't exist. Should it be created? Yes. So we're going to hit OK. And now you'll see on the right side of the screen, we see smartphone stand, and we have our new project. It shows me the name of the project, the type of project that it is, the location that it lives in. The workspace, again, is basically the main folder that houses all of the files associated with the project. So this could be models, drawings, and so on and so forth. Now we have our project created. We can actually go back and modify it. Let's say I want to delete it. To delete a project, when you're currently checked off on a project, you have to jump away from it to do so. So if I right click, I don't have the option to delete or rename because I'm actively in the project. Just simply go to something else. So we'll just double click on default and we'll right click on smartphone stand and we're just going to click delete because at this time we have no real use for this. So we're going to get rid of it. We're going to hit apply and done. So you can see the project is gone and our workspace is cleaned up a little bit. So that's essentially what your projects tab does. The next button is open samples. Basically, there's some sample models and drawings and stuff like that that Autodesk provides for you just for reference to get acclimated with the software and explore its functionality. So when you click that, it'll just redirect you to an Autodesk page with those resources available. The next button is home. When you click this button, it'll just take you back to this home screen. Since we don't have anything else open, it's just not really going to do anything. It's going to refresh the home screen, but we're already here. The next command is the Team Web button. And what this Team Web button does is it essentially allows us to map various HTML pages of our choice, link to topics on your company intranet, or directly to an Inventor web-based tutorial. So an example of this would be, let's say I'm working with a team of 10 engineers, and in my company, we have a standard operating procedure or an SOP on how to properly review documentation and sign off on that documentation for release. And in this case, I want all of my engineers to have access to that SOP at all times so that, if they need a refresher or if they need to look back on the actual procedure itself, it's in an accessible location that is easy to access. So I would link that to my company intranet location and it would be easily accessible. They would just click the Team Web button and navigate to that. The next option is the tutorial gallery. What the tutorial gallery is when you click on this, it'll take you to an Autodesk website with a catalog of a bunch of tutorials that you can access on various topics. So say you need a little bit of supplementary information, or if there's something else that you're trying to do, this is a great resource and I highly encourage you to take a look at that as well. You have your back command. Essentially, the back command will just take you back to your previous page. So if we click that, it's going to take us back to that home screen. But we're going to go ahead and just click home here to get all the way back. So the next command is what's new. The what's new command, when you click on this, will take you to a web page from Autodesk that will show you all of the new features that were added to this year's version of Autodesk Inventor. So with this being Autodesk Inventor Professional 2021, they're going to just highlight those differences in those new features that they've added. Moving over, we have Highlight New. Now, this is a useful feature. If we click this, it's going to give us a drop down of the new additions to the software. So if we just click on this Highlight New button, we get these little orange circles that pop up. It basically tells us where the new features are located and what was added. So say, for example, if we come over here to New and click this drop down, we see that they added the import CAD files option, or updated it rather. So you'll see that it's highlighted with that orange outline and you see the updated icon there. So if you're coming through Autodesk Inventor 2020 and you're interested in the updates and you want to see that live, you can see that here. So we're actually going to just uncheck this here and continue on. So the next section here is Windows. We get some different options here. So if we click user interface, it just gives us some different options that we can have in our windows. So let's say, for example, if we click the iLogic button here, it gives us this whole iLogic pane here. So if that's something that you're commonly using, or if that's a window that you commonly use, you'll see that available there. So we're going to uncheck that. Moving over, we see clean screen. That basically just removes your ribbon at the top, but we actually want to see that ribbon. And if you accidentally click this, don't panic. It's easy to get back. If you just move up to the top to this little arrow, you'll see that when we hover over it, it says show full ribbon. So we're going to click on that. and then boom, we get our ribbon back again. Moving over, we see switch. Right now we're seeing two My Home pages, but let's say, for example, we'll open a part file. So we're just going to click part here. And now I go to the top and click home. If I go back to switch, now I see a drop down of all of my open documents here. And again, I have two homes here because earlier I clicked home to get back. And to rectify this, I can just go down to the bottom here and just cancel out of this one home screen and then click back over to it. So you'll see we come back up to that blank window. So we're going to actually lose this one here. Again, that's what your switch function does. Moving over, we have our new window option. This is useful when you have part files open. So let's say, for example, we want to look at this tablet clip. I'll come down here and open up the workspace. And I'm going to look at the revision A level because that's the latest revision of this. What I can do here is if I go up to view and come back over to this Windows panel, that's the same one that you saw on the home screen. So just to verify, see Windows here. If we just come back here and click new, what this is going to do is it's going to launch a new window with this view. So currently I have an isometric view in this current orientation. So I can click new and it'll launch a separate window. So maybe I want to rotate this model a little bit and get a different view. So maybe I want to look at the back side of this part and then I can click new. And then it'll launch another iteration. And maybe I want to see the top. Okay. Now I have three windows of the same part, but it's going to allow me to have different views simultaneously. So maybe you're giving a presentation, or maybe you just want to see various views of the same part. This is a good way to do it. So we're going to actually just close these individual tabs, come back to the home screen. Arrange allows you to arrange your open windows and your open workspaces in various orientations. So let's say, again, we come back to this part. We go to view and arrange. Let's say we want to vertically tile. So maybe I'm working on a couple different parts and I want to see everything simultaneously. So what this will do is it'll allow you to tile it in whatever orientation that you want. This is really useful if you're actually working on an engineering drawing. It's sometimes useful to have the 3D part file open at the same time as having your 2D drawing file open. So like, let's say we had a drawing file open now. You could actually see both simultaneously. So maybe I want to change some dimensions here and then come over here and create some annotations. You can do that. And this is a very powerful function and it's extremely useful. So now say we want to get back to our default orientation. We can actually just either exit out of one of these windows or we could just maximize. So we're going to maximize it because I don't want to necessarily close this. So we're going to maximize this and it brings us back to our full screen. And since we didn't really do anything with that drawing, we're going to just close this tab by clicking on the drawing tab and then the little X. And we're going to get back to this. So we're going to close that as well. And then finally, in this segment of the ribbon, we have our help menu. Again, this accesses the same help resources from Autodesk themselves. So in other locations, super useful to use if you have some questions about something or if you need some clarification on a function. That concludes this segment of the Autodesk Inventor home screen user interface tutorial module. I hope this helped you obtain a better understanding of the home screen and its user interface. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on future content as it's released. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know if there's anything else you would like to learn about or see on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.